PageTunes Red. From the pages of PageTunes magazine, monthly number 5, May 2024. Story and artwork by Michael Zygerlig.
Prey of the Tigon. In the tranquil countryside, nestled among towering trees, stood Tigon Manor, a majestic presence against the backdrop of nature's serenity. Newlyweds Emily and Michael counted themselves fortunate to inherit this sprawling estate, dormant for over a century. Excitement brimming, they wasted no time in exploring their new home, unaware of the secrets it held. Emily and Michael wandered its grand halls and secluded corners, their footsteps echoing through the silence. As they strolled through the large garden, they encountered a statue of a Tigon, a mythical creature that was a hybrid of a tiger and a lion. Its imposing form stood guard over the manicured lawns, its fierce gaze seemingly fixed upon the manor's grounds. Though the stone figure was still, there was an eerie energy emanating from it, as if it held secrets of its own. One evening, as Emily sought refuge in the library's embrace, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Peering into the shadows, she fancied she saw something stir, a fleeting glimpse of motion. Dismissing it as a trick of the light, she returned to her book, unaware of the darkness that lurked just beyond her line of sight. Days passed uneventfully until the abrupt disappearance of their gardener. Vanished without a trace, he left behind a void that echoed through the estate. As whispers of foul play filled the air, Emily and Michael found themselves thrust into a nightmare, their sanctuary tainted by suspicion. The days following the gardener's disappearance were fraught with tension as they struggled to make sense of the unsettling events unfolding around them. Another blow struck the household. A week after the gardener vanished, one of their maids disappeared without a trace. Emily and Michael, once wrapped in the bliss of their new life, now found themselves grappling with uncertainty and fear. The sudden disappearance of 2 members of their staff drew the attention of the local authorities. Suspicions ran rampant, and Emily and Michael found themselves subjected to relentless questioning. The police, unable to ignore the pattern, cast accusing glances their way, probing for any hint of foul play. Despite their innocence, Emily and Michael could feel the weight of suspicion bearing down upon them. As the investigation dragged on, Emily couldn't shake the memory of that unsettling night in the library. The shifting shadows, the flicker of movement, each detail etched into her mind like a haunting refrain. Despite her efforts to rationalize, a creeping sense of unease settled over her, fueled by the inexplicable events unfolding within the manor's walls. Desperate for reprieve, Emily and Michael sought solace in each other's company, clinging to the fragile hope that the fact of their innocence would prevail. Their once idyllic sanctuary now felt like a prison, its secrets lurking just beyond their reach. Emily couldn't help but wonder what lay concealed within Tigon Manor's depths. What darkness lurked beneath its facade of grandeur? The relentless scrutiny of the local authorities drove Emily and Michael to delve into the archives of a nearby town's library, their quest for answers leading them to a trove of forgotten knowledge. Amidst the dusty pages of old newspapers, they unearthed the sinister truth behind the manor's dark past. Lawrence Pendergast, the previous owner, emerged from the shadows of history, a former big game hunter with a penchant for cruelty. Shock rippled through Emily and Michael as they discovered the ghastly events that once transpired within the estate's walls. Events where predators were pitted against each other in brutal fights to the death. The newspaper articles chronicled the depravity of Pendergast's reign, painting a grim portrait of a man consumed by his lust for power and dominance. Images captured the grim spectacle, immortalizing the horrors that stained the old manor. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Emily and Michael embarked on a journey into the heart of darkness, eager to uncover the hidden secrets of the place. They discovered a long-forgotten room, a chamber of secrets that lay concealed from prying eyes. Photographs adorned the walls, each one a chilling testament to the atrocities that once unfolded within the manor's walls. Hunting trophies gleamed in the dim light, their silent existence a testimony to the bloodlust that had gripped Lawrence Pendergast's soul. Amongst the photographs, one stood out, a faded image from an African newspaper depicting the mythical creature of a Tigon. In the accompanying article, the journalist spoke of a local shaman named Zahamanide Wawarono, who had warned Pendergast of the creature's divine protection. According to legend, the creature was bound by ancient spirits, its fate intertwined with the land from which it hailed. To remove it from its homeland was to incur the wrath of forces beyond mortal comprehension, a curse that would haunt the perpetrator until the creature's remains were returned to Africa. Desperation gripped Emily and Michael as they frantically scoured every inch of the place in search of the elusive remains of the mystical animal. With the weight of suspicion bearing down upon them and the specter of the creature's curse looming overhead, they knew that time was running out. In the dim light of dawn, Michael's shovel struck something solid beneath the statue. He continued to dig, his heart pounding in his chest as he uncovered the skeletal remains of the Tigon. Suddenly, the air crackled with malevolent energy as the imposing beast materialized before him, its form imposing and terrifying. With a blood-curdling roar, it lunged at Michael, its claws slashing through the air with deadly precision. Caught off guard, Michael stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding the creature's razor-sharp claws, desperately fending off the relentless onslaught. In a stroke of luck, the first rays of sunrise pierced the darkness, casting a golden glow upon the scene. With a deafening roar, the Tigon recoiled, its form dissipating into the ether as the daylight banished it once more. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Emily and Michael unearthed the long-buried remains. With the bones in their possession, they hurriedly made preparations to depart to the far continent of Africa to return the remains of the majestic creature. But fortune was not on their side. Their flight was disrupted by unforeseen delays. Emily and Michael found themselves thrust into a nightmare scenario. Despite their protests, they were herded onto a night flight, their pleas falling on deaf ears. Trapped in a web of bureaucracy, they were powerless to resist. As the hours dragged on, Emily's panic threatened to consume her, her nerves stretched taut with the weight of their predicament. In a desperate bid to maintain control, airport security ushered them into a temporary holding room, their fate hanging in the balance as they awaited further instruction. In the depths of the night, as Emily and Michael languished in the confines of the airport holding room, a deafening roar reverberated through the terminal. The spirit of the Tigon had materialized, its imposing form casting a wave of terror over the unsuspecting airport personnel and travelers. The creature's eyes glowed with an otherworldly fury as it unleashed its wrath upon the bustling terminal. With each thunderous step, the ground trembled beneath its feet, sending shockwaves of fear rippling through the horrified crowd. Panic erupted as passengers and staff alike fled, their cries of panic drowned out by the deafening roar of the monstrous beast. Desperate screams filled the air as chaos descended upon the once orderly airport, transforming it into a scene of utter mayhem and destruction. The Tigon's claws tore through metal and concrete with terrifying ease, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Its claws shredding through flesh and bone, sending limbs flying and blood sprawling. Gates and terminals crumbled beneath its fury, while panicked travelers scrambled for safety, their desperate attempts to flee hampered by the chaos unfolding around them. As its wrath unfurled within the airport terminal, chaos reigned supreme. The once bustling hub of travel became a harrowing battleground, where every corner bore witness to the relentless fury of the mythical beast. Amidst the cacophony of screams and panicked shouts, the Tigon prowled with calculated savagery, its massive form casting ominous shadows against the flickering emergency lights. With each thunderous step, the ground trembled beneath its weight, as if the very earth quivered in terror at its presence. In one corner, a family huddled together, their terrified faces illuminated by the fiery glow of destruction. Before they could make a desperate escape, razor-sharp claws sliced through the air, rending flesh and bone with brutal efficiency. Limbs were torn asunder, and crimson blood painted the ground in macabre patterns as their screams were abruptly silenced. Elsewhere, amidst the chaos of fleeing travelers, a lone security guard stood bravely in defiance, attempting to shield a group of stranded passengers. But his valiant efforts proved futile against the unstoppable force of the Tigon. With a swift, deadly swipe of its claws, the guard was thrown aside like a rag doll, his life extinguished in an instant. The air was thick with the stench of fear and death, mingling with the acrid scent of smoke and burning wreckage. Desperate cries for help echoed off the walls, mingling with the ferocious roars as it continued its relentless rampage. In a heart-wrenching moment of desperation, a mother clutched her child tightly to her chest, her eyes wide with terror as the Tigon closed in. With a final desperate plea for mercy, she shielded her child with her own body, offering herself as sacrifice to the merciless beast. Amidst the wreckage and carnage, the once bustling airport now stood as a grim testament to the terror unleashed by the mythical creature. Amidst the chaos, Emily and Michael were still trapped in the holding room, hearing the screams and tragedy, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the destruction. As the Tigon's rampage continued unabated, they could only listen in horror.
If you've been captivated by the magic of this audiobook, here's how you can immerse yourself even further and support the creation of more enthralling tales for your enjoyment. Unlock the ultimate listening journey with a yearly subscription on PageTunes.com. No interruptions, ad-free, and exclusive access to the full library of audiobooks and ebooks. Download and enjoy captivating stories offline, anytime, anywhere. Whether through subscription or individual purchases, you play a vital role in bringing more enchanting stories to life. Explore the merch store. From cozy hoodies to stylish mugs and much more, every purchase directly contributes to crafting more thrilling tales for your pleasure. Thank you and happy listening.